Fitness Pro Mentor community, welcome to another episode of the show. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. There are some computer changes, so we're just figuring it out, but we're excited to have you. Welcome to the Fitness Pro Mentor podcast. My name is Brandon. This is Glenn. We're personal trainers. I have a gym. Glenn works with me on my team. He's awesome. We've got a company called Fitness Pro Mentors. We help trainers like you 2 to 3x their income, make $100,000 a year. $100,000 passive if you're a gym owner, and ultimately create organic systems using conversion events and social media to build the career of your dreams. Really excited to be here, but first and foremost, Glenn, how you doing today, sir?
I'm lovely, Brandon. How are you doing? I'm very excited to be doing this back again.
I am very excited and happy to be here as well. We're going to be talking about success today and what we have seen that makes people successful, perhaps in ourselves, in students, but the people who succeed and are making crazy amounts of money and are happy at the same time, and people we look up to and revere, what makes them successful. But to start off, Glenn is just coming off the heels of a Tony Robbins event. And I thought, what a fun thing to talk about. Glenn, tell me about it. How was your Tony Robbins experience?
So it was interesting. I'll try to be as concise as I can here. If you're listening, you're very much probably the kind of exercise professional who likes to be thoughtful, likes to look at data, likes to look at information. Because I fall in that category myself, am a fairly skeptical person. I don't know how to rank skepticism on a scale from 0 to 10 compared to the world, but I would think that I'm in the upper 25% of the most skeptical people that are out there. So when I go into a program like this, I am extremely wary of what I'm getting myself into. Having said that, I started drinking a little bit of the quote-unquote Kool-Aid a little bit because I know Tony Robbins is a bit of a polarizing character, and I got to tell you, I got an absolute ton out of this program. It was called Life Mastery. It was all about giving you the tools to live a very powerful life. For me, I went in the program to have more energy. That was my goal because I'd get home from work exhausted. You know, openly, I lived my life on caffeine and stimulants, and I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. And I got a whole bunch of different tools that helped me grow within just 5 days. Very interesting experience, Brandon. The thing that was really fascinating about it is, and I kind of could tell they were going to go this route a little bit, but I didn't realize how hard they're going to go into it. They really designed this course around your physiology, which sounds bizarre to think about, but hear me out here. One of the core tenets of the course is everything that you do in your life is built upon your physiology. If you don't have a healthy body, if you don't have the energy, if you're not feeling yourself well, you will have a hard time generating powerful relationships, generating a powerful business, generating the kind of changes and dreams you essentially want to have inside of your life. So I was very surprised that, I'll be honest with you, of the 4 different things I talked about in this course, taking care of your body, emotional mastery, relationship mastery, and then time mastery, they spend an overwhelming amount of time, probably 50%, on taking care of your body and physiology. They had experts come in and talk about exercise. They had people come and talk about nutrition. There was a 5-day cleanse that was a part of the program. And it was all geared around improving your physiology such that you could go out and be the best version of yourself every day. And this was probably the most interesting thing about it. And then we can talk about it in any number of different ways if you want to dive into it. And it does have to do with success. One of the most interesting things was they use this concept, and I've heard about it from NLP because I've read some books. And NLP is called Neuro-Linguistic Programming. It's about Neuro-Linguistic Programming in a nutshell. You ask a bunch of different people, they give you a bunch of different definitions. For me, in my understanding, neuro-linguistic programming is really understanding how our brain maps out events, how we see the world, and then how can we go about understanding our brain so much so that we can learn to change it and see the world differently so that we take different actions so we get different results and we are more successful people in our own eyes, right? Your success should be your own measuring stick. And so one of the things that was really, really interesting is they talked about this thing called peak state. And listen, I rolled my eyes when they started bringing it out. I was highly skeptical of it. The whole idea of peak state is how to get your body, into a position where physiologically you feel amazing. Even if you don't have a lot of energy going through a tough time, how do you bump yourself up from a place where you don't feel great, maybe you're tired, lethargic, you discuss with yourself, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling like you just don't have it, to a place where you've got more energy. You're feeling joyful, lighthearted, ecstatic, elated. And one of the ways they went on teaching us this, and it was kind of woven in a very sneaky way, until they came out and said, this is what we're doing, in which case it made perfect sense, is they had you get into this state where you feel just so good. They had music pumped up. They took you through visualizations. They would have you think about times that are really beautiful in your life, things that made you really excited. And if you put yourself into it, because every program is you get what you put out of it. If you put yourself into it, you end up feeling more amazing, and you end up creating these sensations that you've only felt on really amazing occasions. And what's really, really cool is they get you into these states, and you're doing it for like 15 or 20 minutes of high energy nonstop. It is crazy how, I won't say the word tiring it is, but how long you would go just at this peak state, and they'd have you do things where like you would say like kind of like your power word, and then you do an action. So for me, it was I really like Ric Flair, the old wrestler. It would be like woo, exactly, and making a fist, and you would just do this over and over again in this program, and eventually to the point where like when I close my fist and I say woo, I could feel physiologically my energy jump up. So it was really, really cool, and there's so many different mental models that they gave us here, but just to give you like a quick progression on that, and then you can ask questions, and we can dive into what makes a successful person, even though I think this is really much in line with the podcast. They'd help you get into a peak state. You'd feel really, really good, increase your physiology, and then you would do the mental exercises. Then you would do your goal planning. Then you would do your thinking about like what you want to create for your health. Then you would go on to what do you want to create for your relationship, and from this place of like feeling real amazing, you start generating these ideas and working on these problems that you have in your life. And the most beautiful thing is when you're in that state, you come up with totally different ideas and things that resonate with you that are going to help you move forward, rather than just letting your regular state or your just like we'll call this the thinking brain take over. And what I found was when I started looking at my business, when I looked at my personal relationship, when I looked at my own health, I was coming with ideas that I could take care of myself and how to execute on them that I've never thought of before. And to me, that's a totally different new experience. So, do I recommend this course? Absolutely. I think it's very much a case of the people who say they didn't get anything from these courses when they go into it, probably people that didn't really put themselves into the program. Once I fully immersed myself in the program, I was dancing every half hour like they're asking. I was doing the meditations. I was doing the yoga. I was doing everything they had asked. And I can't tell you, I felt amazing coming out of it. And I think because I had 5 days of really intense training in this thing, part of the physiological wiring is that you're in this state for about 5 days feeling really good, almost nonstop. That, not that it's my default state now, but I have the tools to continue to bring myself back to that. And I feel really, really good. And it's very easy to say that right now, and that I'm eating healthier and cleaner and I'm doing things differently. It's very easy to come out of the program with that motivation on that high. It's being able to continue to remind myself to get back into these states when I don't feel that great. That's going to allow me to continue to build like a pattern of just feeling really good all the time. So that was my experience with Tony Robbins. It was really, really amazing. It was called Life Mastery. And quick sidebar, the reason I was able to have this experience, this is going to tie into FPM, is because I and Brandon have networked with a local chiropractor, Foster Family Chiropractic, and we've got a really great symbiotic relationship. They really love us. We come do presentations for them. They refer us some clients. We have a really great, like, nurturing, helping relationship with each other. And I was telling the owner of the chiropractic clinic, last time we did a presentation there, I discovered Tony Robbins more. I'm open to it. It's amazing. It's been really great. She's like, listen, I got tickets to go to this event. I can't make it. Let me give them to you. So I got this event for free when generally would have cost a couple $1,000s, I think. And that is kind of the beauty of building your reputation in your community, really trying to help people. Because even though this might not necessarily have been a direct business growing opportunity, indirectly, this is going to make me a better human being overall, which is just going to improve every area of my life. And this came out of helping other people in our community and talking with them and just being open and sharing with them. So it's a nice little tie into kind of the things that we talk about in the program as well.
I love it. I mean, well, that's where within all the FPM stuff, I mean, I cheesily use the soundbite, make it rain.
100%.
And it's not even like, as much as it is a cheesy soundbite, I mean, since I was 13 years old, I've been saying myself to that for a lot of different family and then personal and personal challenge reasons. I mean, to me, it's been an empowering sentence of if someone else can do it, I can do it. Mm-hmm. And so I love that you're hearing that you're getting this kind of power word per se and this feeling. I mean, it's kind of like what some of the Andrew Huberman stuff talks around, that anterior mid-cingulate cortex, or challenging yourself, like knowing, okay, I'm about to approach a situation. I'm tired and it's going to be hard, but I'm going to get through it. And then when you have that feeling and then you also woo at the same time, you know that it just gives you that extra sense of that you can get through it. And the thing about challenging yourself and pushing yourself more and more and more and having that friction adversity you have to get through, but then also succeeding, is that you will get better at doing that. You will get better at facing adversity. You will still never like it, but you will succeed a little faster and know that the reward will come from it. And that's just, I love that.
Yeah, and it kind of feeds into the podcast topic today, which what makes a successful personal trainer. And one of the first things I thought about, and I recognize that I've got some recency bias because I just did this program, but I think this is something that we've discussed here before in different ways. One of the things I think that makes someone successful is the ability to intervene on themselves sooner than later when things aren't going the way they want to.
Immediately.
Yeah, right. And that's it, right? It's like when you catch yourself not feeling good, can you move yourself into a better place to feel good? Kind of like I just discussed. Or, if you notice that this area of your business isn't going well, are you going to immediately start taking the actions you need to, or figuring out the actions you need to take in order to fix that problem, that weak link in your chain? So I think one of the things that makes someone very successful in business, and a lot of these things I'm sure we'll talk about today apply to everything in life, is are you intervening right away on what's not working in your business? Are you intervening right away with what's not working in your life? Or are you just going to let that problem build up more and more and more until it becomes untenable and you have to do something? And and the more aware you become, because you intervene more often and you build more awareness, the quicker you deal with that stuff. It doesn't mean you're never going to have problems, because if you're expanding yourself, you always have new problems, which is beautiful, right? Life is really all about the problems we have, because there's no such thing as a problem without something that will get out of it like a gift. So we really need life's problems so we get their gifts. That's a Richard Bach quote. So I think a really successful person, to kind of tie a little bow on this, is someone who is able to look at themselves introspectively and intervene quickly on themselves to move themselves forward in their business and in the rest of their life.
One of the FPM students, who is actually no longer a student, reached out to me and said, I'm not seeing the value in this program. I'm not seeing any results and I'm not succeeding. And there's two ends to this. One, from a success end, this person I have been for over a year giving suggestions and strategies for them to implement. And they're wonderful. They're a great person. But at the same time, over the year, did not apply any of them, did not do any of the things that we talked about. And ultimately, without application of any system, you'll never see success. And now they've very lovingly and done very well found some strategies that have helped them make some money and grow and give them a sense of success, which is great. But along the way, negated some of the steps that are required to take them all the way to the finish line, in my opinion. And I've said this to them, and I would say this to any student, that you can make money and succeed and see monetary success across the way, but without developing as an entrepreneur fundamental skills, building your team, having an idea of long-term retention, a lot of the business economic stuff that we've talked about, there will be challenges. You can't skip steps. Now, the reason why I bring that up is immediately, as someone who's in charge of this beast, it's easy for me to get frustrated and be like, we're doing everything we can to help. You haven't been applying these things. And it's easy for me to get, and Glenn and any person, to get frustrated and angry. But like Glenn just said, there's a great Peter Attia thing where he's talking about parenting. And I've said this before, and it's a cheesy soundbite that's not true, but how you do one thing is how you do everything. In this moment where I got this message that I was bummed by, it's how quickly can I reconcile from that and look at the bigger picture and then move on from it. And my kids, I got a wonderful 4.5-year-old, almost 3-year-old daughter, son and daughter. They're maniacs, and they can be terrible. They're wonderful, but they can be terrible, and I can get really angry. But then I can also, in 2 seconds, reconcile and objectively look at the situation. So like Glenn's saying, I'm just agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I think it is that there will always be times you're tired.
Yeah.
There'll be times that you're angry. There'll be times that you're frustrated and feeling stuck. And instead, I'm not telling you to be okay with the moment and then just move on. Be okay with the moment. Figure out how you can change your emotional state by wooing your way through it, per se, making it rain, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And then look back objectively and go, okay, what needs to happen here? What can I change? What can I improve? And what can I do? And Andrew Huberman, that there's this area of the brain that I've been nerding out about, and I know everyone here has been, because I shared this paper, this anterior mid-cingulate cortex that tells you, basically, if you're approaching a situation that's going to suck, you can get through it. You need to approach these things with as much tenacity as you can, even if you don't want to, knowing that it will be okay on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And this kind of points to, I think something we both agree upon, which makes a successful person, which is you have to take action if you want to have success in any area of your life. And not just action, I would say, but like new actions. And this is really where be able to intervene on yourself, be objective, be honest with yourself, and then figure out what's the best way to move forward and what different actions you have to take. Because we have all heard the Albert Einstein quote, insanity is just doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a new result. It's the same idea of like not taking the coaching, so maybe giving you in a program. And it's fine if something doesn't work for you, but you got to try it on. You got to try it on for the time period that you would need to in order to see results for it. Because you can't necessarily always try something one time and say it's not for me. And like take that with a grain of salt. Like don't go try fentanyl one time and say, oh, fentanyl, like if you don't need to, like don't take fentanyl. Like you don't need to do that. Don't have to try it one time. But what I'm saying is, we've seen tremendous ROI from building our local reputation and then doing presentations at some of our like allied partners in the community
At no cost.
at no cost. And the more that we do those presentations, the more that we build those relationships, the more business we see generated into our business, even when the economy isn't great. Because even when the economy isn't great, there's always people that have paid and discovered that have built up some wealth and can benefit from the kind of things that we do. Right? Those people,
not just benefit, but need.
Yeah, and absolutely, they go hand in hand. And so you have to be able to take actions in order to get results. There's no such thing as just things coming to you. If something comes to you out of nowhere and it's a beautiful gift, it might seem like it came out of nowhere, but the reality is there's probably days, weeks, years, months of built up actions that you've done. You think about just building your body. It's not like one day you woke up and you had a beautiful body. It's like I went to the gym for a period of time, slowly tightened up my diet, started getting more sleep, ate less junk food, started hanging out with more people that were more fit, less with my friends just want to binge eat and you smoke cigarettes and do nothing. And then one day you're like, oh, I'm a lean, fit human being. But there's all these actions that kind of led to that. So you really have to be willing to take actions. And it kind of goes hand in hand with the first step, which is things aren't working. I got to intervene with myself sooner than later and figure out what the issue is. Okay, great. Now that I know what the issue is, what new actions can I take in order to circumvent this thing? And then enjoy the process while we're at it.
Yeah. I have my one last thought that I'll throw out there around this whole thing. And ultimately, I have lost it. What were you just saying? Hold on.
Actions.
Oh, I remember. So the best way to think of this as from a business perspective is think about your personal training clients. Right? I think about this when I'm coaching a client, is any sort of FPM client or my personal training client. There are fundamentals that absolutely are necessary for someone to succeed. If someone wants to exercise from day one, they need to build the skills to move their body. And if they can't control their body, you can't actually build up on a skill and make them faster or stronger because they can't even control their emotions. Then you need to, whatever it may be for the physiological response. You can tell someone, hey, listen, you've never done this before and you're 80 years old. It's going to take a year for you to see a really big change. First 6 weeks, you'll see some crazy changes because you've never done this, but it'll take a full year to see some big changes. And then they run off and they go take steroids, testosterone, and they take a bunch of drugs. And then they come in, they're like, look, I haven't done any of the things that you said. And in 12 weeks, I've made this crazy change. And you're like, you're right. You have. And it's easy to get this association confirmation bias that all I need to do is take this and exercise a little and I'll see great changes. But the fundamentals are not there. And so if you want to be successful, just like you do with a personal training client, right? A personal training client can either work with you and learn everything about their body to be overall healthy, gut microbiome, exercise, you go, all that stuff, or they can starve themselves unhealthily and see weight loss changes, or they can take chemicals and see changes the other way. And both directions, they will see short-term payoff gains that are not sustainable. And for most successful people, in my opinion, you can't shortcut the steps that are required to go where you want to go. You have to experience the friction. You have to experience the adversity. You have to build the skills, because if you find short methods that give you this strong sense of confidence, it's great. I mean, this is my adversity against paid advertising. You can see short bursts of success. But if you don't learn how to sell, if you don't learn how to have retention, if you don't learn how to build a team to help you support this, if you don't know how to build a culture where people are around, it makes it really tough. So I love all the stuff that you're saying.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just stack that on top. I think systems are critical, but I would say the organic systems because then you can stack everything else on top.
So let me move to my pick of the week then, because I think this might be an interesting stack there. We're huge on systems here because systems are reproducible. You can titrate them in different ways as you need to. You can readjust them accordingly, see what's working, what's not working, identify weak links, put in new actions. You can essentially personalize them. And we did this really interesting exercise over the weekend, which I thought was really, really fascinating. I've never done it before. And, look up Tony Robbins Peak State if you want to learn more, but you get your body into a state where you feel really good. And then we had to list out a whole bunch of different things that we had accomplished that were goals or desires or things that we made happen. We list them all out, and then we pick a couple of them that really stick out in our mind. And then we write all the different things that we did, like the patterns between the two of them. And so I had picked out, building my personal training business is one of them. And the other one that I picked out, oh my gosh, what was it? I can't remember off the top of my. Oh, it was getting leaner from my bodybuilding competition, right? Getting really lean and fit for the one competition I did, and the whole idea was like look at the patterns between them, and see what your kind of system is that you use without you actually knowing what your system is. And what I found is like I do a handful of things. Like I always do better with accountability and a mentor. And one of the things that really helped me build my business is I had like a business coach who's also like a medical doctor and a psychotherapist, helped me get my mental state. And then I also had Brandon, when I first came to Strata, really teach me, and I'm so grateful for it, buddy. Honestly, I love you to death, man. I honestly mean that from the bottom of my heart. I had Brandon show me the ropes and mentor me and coach me, and I modeled my behavior off of him. So having accountability, number one, having coaches and mentors two, and then three, like modeling behaviors off those people. And then the next thing I found that was really helpful was like, I chunked down what I needed to do and I planned it into my schedule. So I had like my meal prep done for my bodybuilding competition. Then I booked my hours aside for growing my business and what I had to do in those kind of things. And what I realized by doing this activity was like, here are the 4 or 5 different things that I do that end up allowing me to be successful and create a system for my growth. So now I can take that system and apply it to anything that I do. If I want to get better at playing an instrument, I say I want to take up the saxophone. Great. Find like a teacher. Someone hold me accountable. Who can I model my behavior off of? Kenny G, great smooth saxophone player. How do I get it done? Like I chunk what I need to get done into my schedule and I take action towards it, right? And it becomes a very, very simple way, but everyone will have their kind of own innate system for getting things done that have allowed them to be successful. And if they can figure out what that is and reverse engineer it, they can then go and start creating their own systems for success. One of the things that we've done at FPM is we just have done, we've come up with the systems for people that work 80% of the time through the way, and the other 20% we coach you and model around what you need in your behavior so it's personalized for you. And that's what ends up making this program work really, really well for people. So my pick of the week is, learning and figuring out your own system, using that kind of model that just showed you, and then learning to apply it to your own business and whatever it is that you want to create that you need, and address those weak links. That's kind of my pick of the week.
It's funny that you talked about the modeling behavior thing. I think it's an interesting thing because if you can hang out with someone long enough, like you don't want to copy everyone's idiosyncrasies, but you can kind of pay attention to the tacit layer of it and understand how they operate. Mm-hmm. You can learn a lot about yourself. Like right now, musical instrument wise, I have a drum teacher I'm working with because I've been working on some stuff with my knowledge around anatomy on the drums, and I got so far, but I'm still experiencing one challenge. So I found one guy who I model, he's amazing, and he's got exactly the skills that I want. So I'm working with him, and he's showing me a entirely different perspective. And so now I am literally copying the basic exercise this guy did to get to the level that he's at. But no matter what, I will never be him. And that's what's very cool about this, is that you can learn the top layer of like what makes someone who they are, stand on the shoulders of giants, and then make sure you apply those principles strategically in your own way. What I'm not saying is cherry pick the ones you like and don't like, but look at what works. And then once you get to the place that it works, how do you make it work for you? And I think that's really cool. Like, I love that. I'm honored to be a part of your journey with that. 100%. And there's a lot of people for me that I would give that to as well. So I want to say this. My pick of the week is a video on YouTube. And if you haven't watched it, you need to watch it.
Okay.
Malcolm Gladwell's video, Tomato Sauce. So what it is all about, it's really around niche market. And it's really about these two different tomato, I'm not even going to tell you the whole thing, but it's about two different tomato sauce companies and how one specific type of tomato sauce made it to the marketplace when no one said it would, because there's a high level market demand for this one weird type of tomato sauce. It's a very good video. It's about 20 minutes long, 15 minutes, I think maybe. I used to show it in RTS. Tom Purvis introduced it to me. It's an incredible video. Malcolm Gladwell, tomato sauce. Tell you what, watch it and let me know. And by the way, we got a poll running on this video. What makes a successful trainer? Let us know what you think. And if you disagree, please leave a comment below. But everyone, thanks so much for watching. This is a lot of fun.
This is a great one. We'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Take care. Have a nice one. and let us know if you need 2 to 3 times your personal training business. We'll do a complimentary consultation with you, give you some free valued information as much as we can in that time. Reach out.
We'll help you save money and grow faster.
That's it. Take
Bye,
care,
everybody.
everybody.